Welcome to Midpoint, OCC's midweek podcast aimed at helping you connect with last week's message and prepare you for next week's sermon. Let's dive in.
We're ready to go.
There we go. Well, hello and welcome to Midpoint. This is your midweek connection to Orchards Community Church. It's me. It's Pastor James on the other side of the table. Well, literally, I'm sitting on the same side.
You are literally on the opposite side. Same chair, though.
Yes, but I'm on the opposite side from Pastor Forrest because Pastor Forrest delivered God's message this week. And so I'm going to get to interview him as he walked us through, which I thought was a really, really neat sermon, really good sermon, about the big picture blueprint of discipleship.
Yeah.
And I thought the outline was super helpful in talking about the master's blueprint and what that looked like. But you landed there with kind of a blank canvas. You know, it's the year-end message. We weren't going to be in Romans. We were going to stop here after Advent and kind of do something that hopefully challenged folks as this the time of year. People are making New Year's resolutions. My wife and I have a specific time set out tomorrow. We're going to sit and chart our goals for 2026.
Good job.
I know a lot of people do that.
Yep.
I got in trouble already. Started talking about our goals, and I started jumping in. Oh, I've already got all this and this and that. And she was like, marriage goals. I was like, oh, yeah.
I'm part of this house too.
So I realized even though I'd been doing some thinking, I wasn't getting everything in there yet. But we do that. We kind of at the end of the year stop and intentionally go, hey, what's this next year look like for us? So I know a lot of people do that. Yeah. So that's where this was. It was like, hey, Pastor Forrest, can you preach that message? What's it going to be? And you landed on discipleship.
Yep.
So can you kind of illuminate a little bit for us? Why was that so heavy on your heart? Why was that the number one thing?
Well, as it turns out, since I'm the connections pastor, I read a lot about it, that type of stuff. Connections, discipleship, how to get people in good relationships with each other and with Jesus. And in this case, I actually had read a kind of a newsletter type thing that the Rooted Network sends out.
Tons of good stuff.
And I use that as a framework for this because I really liked what they were saying. Yeah. So the 4 bullet points are heavily from that. That was a good framework to work with, but it is exactly what I'm investing in myself. And it's a message that people need to hear too. And I know that, 38 years in my past career in sales, we did the goal setting and the planning every year. And once in a while we did the couples thing too, which is a really cool thing to do if you write it down. Yeah. And then you revisit it about 5 years later, which is part of that journaling I know that you do as well. It's nice to go back and see, what did we accomplish here? Did we do what we set out to do? And
I used to do that, and then it was always so disappointing. I quit saving journals. I had some great plans. Never did that.
Yeah.
No, it's really, really helpful. It's great to look forward. There's something so almost cathartic about, charting a course, and then you don't feel like you're just out there treading water.
Right.
But it is really helpful to look back and say, hey, we had some momentum, we had a direction, we thought we were going somewhere, and look back and go, did this accomplish anything towards what we thought?
Right.
Because sometimes it doesn't, and we can look at ourselves and go, hey, we didn't have the right inputs in place. And sometimes it doesn't, and you see where God led you in a different direction. And so it really was a neat thing where you're just trying to literally be discerning and hear from him. But it's good to evaluate both those.
If you've made up your mind to be disciplined enough to go through that process and be led by the Lord about how you're going to go about life,
might as well be all in then.
Yeah. And that's, in addition to reading many articles, I listen to leadership podcasts and things like that. In fact, I forwarded one to you from Craig Rochelle.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. When you get great stuff, you do always forward it, which is good. Because again, you don't want to be the only one sitting on nuggets of great stuff. Yeah.
Right, and it's not everything. And even in one podcast, there might not be everything that we use, but generally there's a couple of nuggets in there that's like, hey, we should investigate that at least.
I would agree.
And discuss it.
Yeah.
So
no, easy to see where this is top of mind for you. But of course, it also, and that's the part that I thought was so neat, every part of that points to purpose, mission, and vision here at
Right.
OCC.
Right.
Since our purpose is to help people relationally connect, since our
Yeah.
mission is to make disciples, and then it's all about literally, watching God transform lives because we're joining Him in work that He does.
Yeah.
We can't transform lives, but He does.
He does.
And He uses us. He leverages Christ followers.
Yeah.
Which still blows my mind.
when you start seeing things come together, I'm reading this or I'm listening to this podcast, which I did talk about in the sermon too, that we can't just use that by itself. But when things start connecting, the dots start to connect. And it's like I started a study of the book of James through a DTS course that I'm doing. And it's, when the dots start lining up, let's go this direction.
Well, there's just no cookie cutter approach to doing church. It's not like you can follow one manual and it's going to work for everybody. You have to be really, really cognizant of the many different personalities and the different size churches and the different culture that,
Right.
all those things really matter. But there are some things that are repeatable. I mean,
Sure.
And that's where, again, if you cast a big enough picture, discipleship is supposed to be repeatable. Now, the processes you use can be different, for sure. I don't have an issue with that whatsoever. But the goal is the same all the way.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be more like Jesus.
Yeah.
Let's get on board with that one.
How do we walk alongside Him and be a good reflection of Jesus? And, quite honestly, and I mentioned this to you yesterday, that this sermon, as I developed it and then got to the point of practicing it, rehearsing, and it's there's the fingers are pointing back at me. A lot of these things I have struggled with in the past, still struggle with. Keeping focused on where the Spirit leads me, and
Well, it's encouraging to hear you say that, because otherwise it's just me and your wife telling you that, and that's. So it's nice to be like, no, I get that.
You mean like, did you read what you just preached? Yes, I did.
Yes, I did.
I preached it. I understand what you're saying. Yes.
That one
some
was
thought.
from Forrest's wife. I want to let you know that one wasn't me. That came from a higher authority on that.
But I think that's generally true. That if we're going to be transparent, that what we're preaching to the congregation, it applies to us too. And
even as we talked about that, just as you and I were talking about the actual sermon itself, when we're on stage, the opportunity to sometimes go, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. That's a we all have got to do these things.
Right.
And I think generally people accept that better when they realize, oh, hey, Pastor
we're all in the same boat.
Yeah, Pastor Forrest didn't crush in this either. He's admitting that he struggles here.
Right.
And that helps me go, okay, there's grace that's available for everybody.
Right.
With that, this is a tough segue. I didn't mean for that to land that way. There is grace. Believe me, there is grace. But one of the things that you really focused on is something, I'm a big Dietrich Bonhoeffer fan. And of course, his discipleship stuff is fantastic. Please don't, I'm not saying don't read it. It's hard to read.
Yeah.
Like it really smacks you. But he talks a lot about that cost of discipleship. And you led with that. That was one of the first bullet points, I think your first outline point. And you defined it, which I thought was really helpful, at the cost of discipleship as radical commitment and self-denial. So for you, what does that look like? And how can we get more people on board? Because that's a hard one.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
That for sometimes that's a gut punch.
Yeah.
Am I willing to give up what I want to do? And for me, being a very independent minded person, having grown up in this area, it's the way that I was raised to be independent, an individual, which are two different things, which I took some time and explained that.
Yeah.
But
even honestly, the Northwest has a reputation for that. That was something I learned 11 years I moved in here.
Come to find out, there's something to that.
People were telling me, here, no, things are different here because of this. And I came in, not that I wanted to make big sweeping changes and stuff.
Sure.
But I said, hey, why don't we try this or why don't we try that? And every time I heard it was like, well, there's this independent spirit of the Northwest. And people won't do it. And like I had no clue what they're talking. Now I get it. Now I understand. But it was revolutionary for me.
Oh, okay.
So you growing up in it, you're well aware.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, because again, I think really what you're talking about, it's great to talk about, but radical commitment and self-denial should go hand in hand. If you're willing to make a radical commitment, you should be able to die to yourself.
Yes.
But that doesn't always happen together. And that's true. I think the part many people won't make the radical commitment. I'm not trying to be too existential here. Many people won't make that. But some people I think are like, no, I'll make that commitment. And then they realize how much it costs them.
Right.
And that's where we jump off the ship.
And it is. And it is. I think, and if you talk to somebody that's in full-time ministry, you begin to understand what that is. This is not a job like there's any other job. In my case, having grown up in a rural area and learning to do things kind of on my own, and then being self-employed in a sales career for as many years as I did, I was the guy that brought the paycheck home. Yeah. So I thought. I learned the last 20 years or so, that wasn't just me. I had some good mentors. Yeah. They may not know it, but people that I respected that had been through some of this. And if you keep your nose to the grindstone, don't be flying off on some dark path, Just do your job and treat people well, and they will treat you well. And in the end, yes, that's the Holy Spirit working through people. And so I had a lot of growth in the last 10, 20 years with that.
Well, and I think that's a neat thing. From a vocational standpoint, it is. It's a different journey, I think, for people who are actively in full-time ministry that way. The trick is this cost of discipleship isn't just for you and me. It isn't just for vocational ministers. It's for every Christ follower.
Right.
And so for each and every person, as you said, individually to figure out, okay, what does that look like for me? That's going to look different for Pastor James, for Pastor Forrest.
Exactly.
But what does that look like for me?
Yeah.
As I work in whatever industry I'm in, as I raise whatever family God has given me, or maybe God hasn't given me a family, and I have more opportunity. We have some people here at the church who serve, it seems like sometimes above and beyond when they don't have family. And so they have more opportunities, and so they're looking for family. They're looking for a connection here at the church.
True.
And so we get to kind of step in and be their family. All those circumstances are different. So that cost of discipleship truly does look different for everybody, but you have to weigh it out. You kind of got to add it up and go, what does that mean for me?
Right.
And denying yourself is going to look different for almost everybody.
Yeah.
The radical commitment, I think we preach that part easier. Like, hey, this is going to take something different. You can't. It can't be business as usual for you.
Right.
But when it starts to hit home,
when you get deep into it, that commitment leads to that loss of your own ego, your ego, I guess. Yeah. Not your self identity. You need to know who you are, because God did make you that way.
No, understanding how we're all fearfully and wonderfully made is a little different from understanding that everything I have, every breath I take, I owe to God.
Right.
And so that's the part for me. I just, there's some areas where it's easier for me, and if that's true, I'm probably not denying myself. but it seems like like I know when I was younger, I would have never missed a baseball game, a football game. I was like, I'm paying attention to this, and an opportunity to serve comes up, and I'm like, it's really not that big a deal. I can listen to another baseball game. Like, I'm growing in that area. But there are other still real selfish strongholds for me, and I'm like, well, I'm not giving that up, Yeah.
Everybody has those.
You got to know yourself.
Yeah. So. It's something that I'd heard, actually it was last night after we came back from a basketball game tournament, and happened across Family Life was playing on the radio, and Dave and Ann Wilson were finishing up an interview with this fella that had been a former pastor, and I don't know everything that happened, but a comment that he made is when we go into a room, and we learn to read the room, I mean, to be socially intelligent that way, but he says, see the pain in the room. And it's like, it struck both of us. Yeah. It's like, are we paying enough attention to this to see the pain in the room? Because everybody's going through something. Yeah. So that's some of that, eliminating that self-importance of yourself, and letting loose and opening up and becoming vulnerable and seeing the pain in the room and developing a plan how to work with that.
Neat that you ended up flipping the radio on at that time to hear that, because again, that's the thing, and you have a heart for that, not just because you do hospital visitations and things like that, but because you care for people that way. But I don't know if that's inherent, and some of that has to be developed. It
does,
and even just to follow up. I mean, had a weird day yesterday and a bunch of meetings that I kind of hadn't planned on having.
Right.
And there were a couple people that I really wanted to check in on because one of them had just had a surgery and one had kind of an emergency thing. And so it was 7:30 and Christina and I were driving on our way to Walgreens to pick something up, and I took my phone out and made a couple phone calls. And I don't think my wife enjoys that so much, but these are people who really, I mean, they just had surgery. They got big stuff going on.
Right.
And I didn't want to go, well, that can wait till tomorrow, you know? And so it is. There's a cost of discipleship. If you really care for people, it will sometimes inconvenience you to check on people.
Right.
But that's the way you really care for people. And so if it's inconvenient to you, literally, you have to start going, okay, which things are deal breakers? Like, I'm not going to interrupt this, but driving in the car to Walgreens, I can make
if there's time
I wasn't
to do
even
it.
driving. I was in the passenger seat.
Right.
I can do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Not that being inconvenient makes it the right thing to do.
Yes.
But, if a person is saying, hey, I do need to get out and meet some people, how do I go about that?
Yeah.
Well, one idea is, you can, if you're not connected enough to join a small group, you could still invite some people that you have met and say, hey, let's go have coffee, or let's go have a dessert night, come on over to the house, or
you
whatever.
You can find some stuff that is lowering the bar a little bit, lowering the expectation to where,
and you take baby steps.
I'd feel comfortable jumping in at that level, and it may really grow to something.
Yeah.
And I want to say in that, I also, I'm not saying ignore your spouse, ignore other relationships. I mean, like a lot of times in the car, I like to sit and talk to my wife. That's
sure.
one of the few times
That's
we get.
the time you get.
Yeah.
That's why I go shopping with my wife.
Yes. Because
And other guys say, you go shopping with your wife? And I'm like, that's when I get to visit
when we
with
actually
her.
get to visit.
Yeah. Why wouldn't I?
I do that as well, and I think it's kind of funny that people, because that's a good time to redeem. So,
Yeah.
Trying to evaluate all that stuff, it is. I'm going to paint real broad brushstroke. There is a real cost to discipleship.
Yeah.
Do we recognize it? Are we willing to pay it? And if we're not willing to jump in at a radical commitment, can we jump in at a commitment level that we can get our feet wet?
Yeah.
And maybe God
Just
will really
start.
do something with it.
Start somewhere.
Yeah. Good thought. I thought it was important for you to lead the blueprint with that.
Yeah.
And again, it's the master's blueprint. It wasn't Forrest's blueprint.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
One of the other aspects, one of the things that you touched on that we talk about all the time here, and it's so important, was this idea of servant leadership. And so for you, two-part question, I guess. Why is that important for everybody who calls themselves a Christ follower? Why is it especially important here at OCC? Because you and I are tasked with shepherding the people that God puts here.
Sure.
But for us, how can we help people recognize there may be a call for them to either truly step in and lead in some area or to be a servant leader on a team? What's that look like for you?
Right. Well, I just thinking about how do I formulate this. In Scripture, we're called to do that for what?
It's a pretty clear call. in
Yeah,
Scripture.
it's not like, well, should I do this or should I not? It's like, no, Jesus said, love one another.
Yeah.
And this is how you do it.
Well, if the whole purpose of discipleship is to be more like Jesus, and literally it says he did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life, like, okay, now I think I understand.
Yeah. And he chose us.
Yeah.
We did not choose. Well, I mean, we did make a decision.
Make a free will,
But,
decision.
but he chose us for a good reason.
Yeah.
But it's also up to the rest of us, that they take this servant leadership seriously, is to walk alongside folks and help them have that same experience that we've had to get serious about walking beside Jesus.
Yeah. Are there particular areas that you know of off the top of your head where you're really planning on focusing for 2026? Man, we need to really encourage people to seek this as an avenue for servant leadership.
Well, one, getting involved. It's when I talked about the 7 habits of a disciple that we go through and rooted.
Yeah, the rhythms.
The rhythms of a disciple there. Community service.
Yeah.
We've got park cleanup days that you can get involved in so easily. Yeah, you take a few hours out of your Saturday morning maybe, but that's we get some pretty good weather around here usually.
Typically. I've gone to several of those where it's been really delightful.
Yeah. When the weather's not so good, we already have groups that serve dinner at Salvation Army, and we've actually have another group that's starting up that's going to try to make that more regular on fifth Sundays. Which happens 3 or 4 times, I think, in 2026. So there's those opportunities to serve in the community that way. But there's also opportunities to serve within the church. One of which we just talked about, the meal train.
Yeah.
When folks are having
surgery
birthing
or-
babies,
yeah.
they may need a little help if they're dual income families. Or there was quite a few people that jumped in as group participation and blessed families over Christmas.
Yeah.
And
Some
provided some
benevolence and just some
benevolence.
love and
Benevolent. Financially, they supported that very, very well.
Yeah.
Earlier this fall or winter, but also we were able to provide grocery cards, food cards, and there was a lot of different things that went on with that. But I was really satisfied with the response there. That people are thinking about that.
I think there's so many things like that. I'm tickled that you mentioned the kind of the small groups adopting people, the benevolence idea, and that can strike people in a lot of different ways. But of course, the meal train. There are so many ways, and so this is just my encouragement. I'm not trying to make this a commercial. If you're wondering, gosh, it doesn't seem like there's any area for me to get connected, go talk to Forrest on Sundays on Monday night, because he knows about a lot of things like this where there are needs. And some of them are pretty easy entry points. And that's what we were talking about so much with the meal train. Meal train's not, hey, sign up for this small group and now you got to meet every week for 12 weeks in a row. You know, it's, could you make a meal and take it to somebody? And you don't even have to make the meal.
Right.
You can drive through KFC drive-through and you'll bless the snot out of somebody who's really, in like I say, they're recovering from a surgery, just had a baby, got a crisis, got something going on. And so you'll be a tangible blessing, and it's pretty low impact.
And you're helping somebody else out, which means you're not thinking about yourself.
About yourself, yes, exactly.
And
it takes
all of us go through those times.
Yeah.
And what I've consistently heard is if you want to not think about yourself, go do something for somebody else.
Somebody else. Yeah.
Whether it's financial or whether it's a little more skin in the game by physically going and helping them rake a yard or mow or saw up trees like I did last couple weeks ago after the windstorm. Some of us have unique abilities to do things that other folks are not capable of doing or don't have the time to do it.
I didn't realize how amazing it was that I own a chainsaw that starts. I heard a lot of people say they've got a chainsaw, but it doesn't work.
You have a good brand there.
Yeah, I did buy a good chainsaw.
Yeah. I'm a steel fan.
I am as well.
I have
clearly.
many steel tools and implements.
Most of mine are as well. I'll give you that.
And I like to run them too.
Yeah. Looks like a commercial for steel now. It's no longer a commercial for Forrest. Now brought to you by Noah. One more question. I want to hit this one to kind of wrap us up. You highlighted the importance of relational connection, and really did. You kind of painted yourself in a corner that I know you are aware of. We talk a lot about how important it is to get people connected. And again, I've showed up here at OCC years ago, like, we just need to get everybody in a small group. And I hit that, well, there's kind of an independent issue around here. Some people will not do that.
Right.
They're close with their family. They're not going to get into a small group that meets at some stranger's home.
Right.
So I recognize that. So what we've done is we just have tried to adjust a little bit. And we're like, well, fine, you don't have to be in a small group. Find a place to serve. Find a Bible study. Find something where you're getting relationally connected. It doesn't have to be a small group.
Right.
I just think that's a great vehicle. You mentioned specifically Rooted, which I love, and I wish everybody at OCC would get involved in that. But for you, as we talk about that, as we talk about the relational connection, we understand why. Scripture talks very much about, God has given us gifts so that we can bring glory to God, so we can build the body.
Right.
I think you see that a lot in small groups. And we use that phrase, and one of the podcasts you listen to, I know, uses it a lot. Body life.
Yeah.
How do we have body life? Where do you see us really doing well and joining God where He's at work there? And where do we really need everybody to get on board? That's a big question.
Yeah. And it may be the same answer, because I see not only Rooted groups, but other groups, the people that gather together for a Bible study or that type of a thing, and they're caring for each other.
Yes. Oh, they really do shepherd each other well.
Yeah. And I mentioned groups that have been serving dinner at Salvation Army. Other groups they'll actually put on the Rooted celebration dinner at the end of it. We have other Rooted groups come in and do that meal as a way of serving.
Yeah.
Back to
my
the
group
church.
this last semester got ridiculously blessed by that. Had a wonderful dinner that another Rooted group came and prepared. Yeah.
Right. I think in my group, where we have a pretty diverse group of people, that we have tried to make it very important to keep tabs on each other. And sometimes folks will kind of stray away a little bit. We don't lose touch with them. We still stay in contact. There might be a few weeks or months that go by because people need space sometimes. So life happens.
Yeah, it is.
Stuff goes on.
There's a little tension in weighing that out. But
yeah, but you don't give up on people.
No.
And it took me a few years to learn that. And then I kind of had to go through a process within my own family that we don't give up on people.
No.
And you stay with them. And it's kind of like the value of being a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
Expect that you're going to learn some lessons. Otherwise, the Lord's going to come in and maybe provide some hard lessons for you to learn.
You wonder sometimes why it feels like you got smacked upside the head by God.
Well,
because you weren't paying attention.
And guilty as charged.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's an easy we. That's happened to me many times.
Yeah. But if you're open and you learn from those things, it's a great deal.
Yeah.
If you don't learn anything, that's another problem.
I think God just starts smacking harder.
Yeah, sometimes. And I don't want to see that ramp up too far.
Nobody's signing up for that. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. Like I say, a good blueprint. If you haven't had the opportunity to listen to that sermon that God had Forrest give, go back and listen to that online or through the Church Center app. Just a real blessing and a good picture of what we're trying to do here at OCC. But this coming week, we are jumping back into our Romans study.
Getting back into Romans.
Very, very excited about that. And Pastor Brenton is actually batting leadoff in the Romans series this year. And this kind of just walking through chapter 8, which is a unique chapter in and of itself. And then kind of 9, 10, and 11 are unique in and of themselves, and then gets a little more practical again starting in 12. But so we're going to spend like 7 or 8 weeks in chapter 8.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in chapter 8.
There's a ton of stuff in there. And so he's going to kick it off, and then I'm still not 100% sure. I might come in and do even still an overview of what we're trying to accomplish in chapter 8 and then start walking back through. I'm
sure.
I don't have all that figured out yet, but I better in the next couple of weeks. And so
because you're next up.
I'm next up. But Brenton is, and really the beginning of chapter 8, starts with a therefore. So it's kind of pointing back to some of the things that we were focusing on in the previous session. So excited about what God's going to do through him. But we are jumping back into Romans. So for those of you, and there are many of you who are big fans of expositional teaching like that, we are jumping back in, going to exegete the rest of Romans this year. We're going to finish it this calendar year.
All right.
You heard it here first, folks. We're going to do it. But if you have opportunities always after any sermon, we love to get questions from you guys.
Yes.
If you have questions that you need some further clarification, if you have something that you're thinking about that maybe we haven't thought about, it is one of the neatest ways to engage that way. And we like the questions, even just if they're trivia questions, they're fun. So send in questions or thoughts. You can email or text. It's occpodcast@lewistonocc.org. There's a Dropbox right outside the auditorium that you can set those in. And literally, if you know any pastor on staff, you can come up and tell us or hand us something or text us or email us personally, because we like to have those questions. Mm-hmm. But we would invite you, join live online, or we would prefer that you come see us Sunday mornings, 8, 9:45, and 11:30. And then that same service again on Monday nights, starting at 7 p.m. And we are starting up again for the new year. Took a little break over the holidays. Yeah. But we're excited about having our Monday night crowd back. And thank you, Monday night folks, for showing up over the last couple of weeks at Sunday services. It was really, really nice to see you guys. But anyway, we are glad you're staying connected throughout the week. We love having you here at OCC. We just love you guys so much.
All right. Appreciate you all. Thank you.